Today, we're going to go over our holdbacks and our pickups from the 2022 breeding season to show you how our collection is growing and what we're setting up for in the future. Before we get started, I just kind of want to be humble for a second and say thank you. Honestly, the channel is growing a bit faster than I thought it was going to. I've only been at this for a little bit over a month and we just passed the 50 subscriber mark. Your input and the conversations we've been having in the comments have honestly motivated me a lot to continue to pursue this channel. I didn't think there'd be 50 people wanting to hear me ramble in this short a time, so thank you. Truly, the support is really appreciated. Let me know what you want to see moving forward. On today's topic. For those of you who have not been here before, I'm Jim. This is Straight Blast Pythons. 2022 was our first breeding season. We went into the year with 12 snakes, shooting for 5 clutches. We only got 4, but we substantially grew the collection relative to its size. Today I want to just go over some of those holdbacks, some of the pickups, give you a reason for why we kept them, why we picked them up, kind of talk about where we're going here at Straight Blast Pythons over the next couple of years. So we originally held back 5 snakes. To be honest, I'm going to show all 5, but 2 of them I don't think are staying because of some other pickups that we've had early this year that kind of make them genetically irrelevant for where we want to take the collection. I'm going to show them off anyway. I honestly don't know for sure if they're going to stay or not yet. So one of our goals going into our first year was to create a bell. I know that's not super exciting to everybody, but the blue-eyed leucistics are something that caught my eye early on, got me interested in the ball pythons. My wife and I decided that instead of buying one, we were going to produce our own. Our first hatchling out of our first clutch in our first year of breeding season happened to be a bell. So of course we had to keep her. She was hatched out on July 4th, so we've named her Indy, short for Independence. She is a lesser Mojave, 100% het for clown. Originally we were going to keep her back because we were going to develop a breeding group specifically for bells. That plan's changed a little bit, but we're still going to keep her around. She's a blue-eyed leucistic. Allelic combination, acts like a super. She'll never create a normal, and she's het clown. She also possibly has Enchi fire in the mix, so genetically she has a lot of potential. Even once she's out of the breeding rotation, she was our first hatchling ever. She's probably going to stay. From the same clutch, our second holdback is going to be a sister to Indy. She is a lesser Enchi fire, again 100% het clown. So yeah, there's some overlap in the genes with Indy, but she was originally going to be held back for the clown project specifically. Even though we decided that Indy is going to be moved into the clown project as well, this ensures that we get the Enchi and fire genes into our clown, which are 2 genes we did not have in the mix prior to the season. Additionally, the line of fire that we have in our collection we picked up from Chad Holker of Holker's Herbs. It is extremely bright. I'm never going to pass up an opportunity to get that into a recessive project. All right, so our third holdback is a pastel clown. Pastel clown kind of gets a lot of flack, but to be completely honest, we went into the 2022 breeding season with the intention of building up our base of clown breeder females. So the goal was to keep back clowns and het clowns. The pairing for her was actually a super pastel het clown to our lesser clown male. We were hoping to get, honestly, pastel lessers, but for some odd reason, we didn't get any lesser in that clutch at all. She was one of 3 visual clowns. All of them were obviously pastel, seeing as there was super pastel in the combination. She was the only female, so we kept her. Okay, so those 3 we're definitely keeping. Like I said, there's a possibility for the next 2 that we're going to get rid of them. The first one I don't want to get rid of. Genetically, she's the most powerful hatchling we've made so far to date. She is a pastel Enchi blade spider clown, also 50% het VPI xanthic and 50% het pied. She hatched out in October, and although she hasn't lost size, she's not taken a meal without being assist fed yet. So that in and of itself is giving me pause to whether I want to keep her around or not. It's going to depend on how quickly she comes onto food. I'm not talking about culling her or anything like that, but if she's going to be a known slow eater, I'll probably just sell her off as pet only. If she was a male, that wouldn't be too big of a deal, but I'm trying to grow the number of females at a relatively steady pace. I understand that some grow faster than others. She's on her 10th or 11th assist feed now. So our 5th and final holdback, which I can already tell you right now is almost definitely not going to be sticking around with us, is just a simple black pastel 100% het albino. So I decided late in the 2022 season that I was actually going to get out of the albino project. The only reason I was considering keeping this girl back was because I want to get the black pastel into my clown project. However, I've recently picked up a black pastel yellow-bellied vanilla het clown that is going to be ready to go next season. So with that, I don't really have a need to keep her around. So honestly, chances are she's probably not staying around, but as of right now, she is in our rack. She is considered a holdback, so I'm going to include her in the video. So with the exception of the black pastel het albino, everything was centered around producing visual or het clown females to either get new genetics in or just combine to make genetically more powerful females for the future. Moving on to our pickups, we're expanding outside of the clown project a little bit, looking into a few different paths to take the collection. I don't want to be specifically clown centric. I've made mention in other videos, we're going to push largely into the genetic stripe stuff. There's not really a lot of genetic stripes in this pickup list because I plan on, like I did with clown, producing a lot of our females here, and I do have several genetic stripe males that will be taking on that role in this 2023 season. Most of our pickups from 2022 were based around getting new genetics into the collection to add to the recessive projects moving forward. So we're going to start out with our mahogany. She is 100% het albino. We've named her Caligo. The main reason we picked her up is honestly because we got a really good deal on her and I wanted to get the mahogany into the clown project. But the fact that she's 100% albino at the time that we picked her up was going to add her into our albino project. Right now, that's kind of an irrelevant fact, but like I said, though, the plan moving forward now is to make mahogany het clowns in the future. So I'm a big fan of the yellow belly complex, the highways, and the super stripes specifically. So I've been kind of wanting to start picking up some girls to work in that project. We came across a Cypress Enchi pinstripe yellow belly girl, and I couldn't pass it up. We got a really good deal on her. Right now, it's probably going to be 2025 before she's big enough to breed. We're going to right away use her to try to get Cypress into both the clown and genetic stripe projects, but long term, the intention is to use her to start making freeways, but that's down the line. We don't even have a male ready for that yet. Sticking with the genetic stripe theme, I wasn't planning on picking up any genetic stripe breeder girls at all. Right towards the end of the year, at the Raleigh Repticon, I happened to come across a Orange Dream, who's 100% genetic stripe, female, who's breeder ready. So kind of picked her up on a whim, put her through a slightly shorter quarantine than I would prefer, and got her right into the breeding rotation later in the season. I think we started pairing her in January. Obviously, the goal is to make some visual genetic stripes. We'll see if that actually happens. And honestly, it also gets Orange Dream into the collection, which is something I've been wanting to add and we don't have in it right now. With the goal of going towards genetic stripe clown in the future, I would like to get Orange Dream into that project, and that gives us that opportunity. So you may have seen me comment on other YouTube videos, in some YouTube lives, or maybe on a Discord group if we're part of the same one, that I'm really not a big fan of Sunset. For the longest time, I honestly didn't understand what people's obsession were with the gene, and it took me a while to figure it out. While I still don't honestly like the single gene Sunset all that much, I have found a huge respect for a number of the combinations, and I think that with the right genes involved, Sunset has enormous potential. So the final two pickups we have from 2022 are both for the Sunset project. We traded out a Candino breeder female that we had that we were looking at possibly making a albino genetic stripe, Candino genetic stripe double recessive project. We traded her out instead, and we picked up a Super Enchi 100% Sunset female. She was already over 600 grams when we got her, which means she's probably going to be ready to go next season. Leading us into our final pickup, we needed to get a male, so we'd actually have the ability to prove her out, hopefully, as Sunset. And we picked up a spot nose 100% het Sunset male, who as of right now is tentatively being named Spot. I think the Spot Nose Enchi Sunset is one of the better combos that have been made so far out of the ones that I've seen, and I'm looking forward to possibly being able to produce those in 2024. Honestly, that's going to be a head-to-head pairing, and we might strike out. If they don't prove, oh well. Super Enchi's never bad to have, and to be honest, I plan to get Spot Nose in both the genetic stripe and clown projects anyway, so it is a win. But if we are lucky enough to prove out, especially if we get a male, Sunset genetic stripes. That's the long-term plan. So recapping, we started 2022 with 12 snakes. We ended with 22. Going into 2023, I'm looking to hopefully grow the collection by about the same amount. I'm looking for 13 holdbacks, but only time will tell what we actually get. I've rambled on long enough about this collection. Again, though, I do want to say thank you truly to those of you who have subscribed and followed us so far. You're the reason this channel's here, and you're the reason I'm going to keep trying to produce better content on this channel. If you've been enjoying the Morph videos that I've been posting, next week's video is going to be on the genetic stripe and my opinions on it as a recessive in the industry right now. So if that's something you'd be interested in, please subscribe, hit that notification, and I'll see you next time.